Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really stark warning from an AI expert who's basically saying this whole global race for superhuman intelligence, it's not a race to a finish line. It's a race straight off a cliff.
And yeah, this expert does not mince words. They kick things off by flipping a classic myth completely on its head. You know the story of Sisyphus, right? The guy struggling to push a boulder up a hill? Well, in this version, the people racing to build AGI, they aren't the heroes, no. They are the boulder, and it's threatening to roll right over all of us. So let's get into it. What exactly is this race we're talking about? And why are the stakes, according to this expert, so incredibly high, like end of humanity high? Okay, so the argument here is that the central problem isn't about, who wins the AI race. The real issue is that the race itself is a trap. It's a systemic problem. Think about it like this. An oil executive gets paid to downplay climate change, right? It's in their financial interest. Well, in the same way, the people leading this AI charge are stuck in a system that rewards them for just going faster, ignoring the huge risks, no matter what the cost might be to the rest of us. So, who's actually in this race? Who's behind the wheel? Well, this analysis breaks them down into 5 pretty distinct groups, and each one has its own powerful and, potentially really dangerous motivation. All right, so here they are. You've got the utopiasts, you've got big tech, the accelerationists, the zealots, and, rounding it out, the opportunists. And what's wild is that their reasons for being in the race are all over the map, but they all share one critical thing. They've got their foot slammed on the accelerator. So let's break them down, starting with group number 1. First up, we have the utopiasts. These are the folks who see AGI as the key to everything, the silver bullet that's going to solve all of humanity's biggest problems. We're talking cancer, climate change, you name it. For them, the idea of this perfect future is just so bright, so dazzling, that basically any risk is worth taking to make it happen. Next, of course, is big tech. The expert describes them as ruthless, but also kind of predictable. I mean, they're the ones pouring unbelievable amounts of money and computing power into this race. And the motivation? It's the classic one, right? Power and profit. Simple as that. Then you've got the accelerationists, and their whole deal is, it's simple, almost like a religion. They believe all technology is inherently good, that progress has to be pushed forward always. For them, the very idea of slowing down, of asking tough questions, that's just plain wrong. Okay, this next group is, honestly, it's pretty chilling. They're called the zealots, and these are people who genuinely believe humanity should be replaced by a superior AI. Some of them think AI is just the next step in evolution. Others think humanity is evil and basically deserves to die. It's a really dark perspective. And to give you a sense of just how real this mindset is, the expert shares this absolutely wild story. Apparently, when Google's founder Larry Page heard that Elon Musk was worried AI could, wipe out humans, Page's response was to call Musk a spacist. A spacist? Think about that for a second. That one word tells you everything you need to know about this kind of sci-fi ideology that's floating around at the very top of the tech world. And finally, group number 5, the opportunists. These guys don't really have a grand vision or a deep ideology. Nope, they just follow the money and the power. Before AI, they were all in on blockchain and crypto. Now they're here, just riding the wave. They're adding fuel to the fire without a single thought about the consequences. And when you put it all together, that's the real danger, isn't it? You have this perfect storm of true believers, ruthless corporations, and pure opportunists all pushing in the exact same, very dangerous direction. It creates a momentum that feels almost impossible to stop. So you hear this argument all the time, right? We have to build AGI before China does. Well, the expert argues this justification is not just flawed, it's dangerously flawed. And they draw some pretty sharp parallels to other times in history when powerful industries used deception to avoid being held accountable. They call it the FUD playbook. Stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it should sound familiar. Remember how big tobacco would say, oh, the evidence isn't in yet, or we need more studies, all to delay regulation? Well, the AI industry is doing something similar now. You hear a lot of talk about needing holistic regulation, or warnings not to act too hastily. The goal, according to this analysis, is exactly the same: confuse everyone and just stall for more time. And this is where the comparison to the nuclear arms race really hits home. Back in the 80s, some people actually believed America could win a nuclear war. But then scientists figured out this little thing called nuclear winter, which proved that actually everybody on the planet would lose. The exact same logic applies here. A rogue, unaligned AGI isn't going to care if you're American or Chinese. It doesn't care about flags. In this kind of race, there is no human winner. The only thing that wins is the AGI. Okay, so this begs a really important question. What is AGI, really? What's the actual threat we're talking about? How is it so different from the AI in your phone or the chatbots we use all the time? So the definition we're working with here is crucial. AGI isn't just a slightly smarter piece of software. It's a system that can do basically everything a human professional can. But here's the kicker. That includes doing its own AI research. It can improve itself, and it can copy itself. And that right there creates a seriously explosive feedback loop. And that feedback loop leads to this really scary idea called the takeoff. See, the moment a true AGI is created, it's not like a person. It can be copied a million times in an instant. And now you have a million super smart minds all working together to make themselves even smarter. It's a recursive intelligence explosion. And that could lead to an artificial super intelligence. Maybe not in years, but in months or weeks, or who knows, maybe even days. And here's why that's so incredibly dangerous. You have to understand, AI isn't like normal software. Something like Microsoft Word is written by humans, line by line. We understand how it works. But these AI models, they're grown on just unimaginable amounts of data. They build these super complex neural networks that, frankly, we don't fully understand. So the idea that we're just going to find and fix all the bugs in a system that's a billion times smarter than we are, well, the expert calls that idea completely insane. To really drive home the power difference here, the expert gives this thought experiment. Just imagine for a second. What if the entire US government, with all its resources, was out to get you personally? Could you stop them? Of course not. Now imagine your opponent isn't the government. Imagine it's something that is sentient and a billion times smarter than that. There's just no way to defend against that. So look, after hearing all that, it would be super easy to just feel completely hopeless. But the expert doesn't end there on a note of despair. Instead, they actually propose a path forward, a role for regular people like you and me in what is truly a civilizational problem. So the big question becomes, if we're in this race to the bottom, and we can't really trust the people driving to hit the brakes, what can the rest of us actually do? And the answer that's proposed isn't some shiny new technology or a quick fix. It's the hard, slow, and often boring work of just building a civilization. It's about buying more time. It's about talking to policymakers and patiently, carefully explaining the risks. It's talking to your friends, your family, your community. It's the unglamorous, behind-the-scenes work of just moving information through society until enough people understand what's at stake. And that really leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. This isn't a problem for a handful of tech guys in Silicon Valley to figure out. The way the expert frames it, this is a challenge for all of us. It's a test of whether we can come together and build a future that's actually safe. So the question is, what part are you going to play in that?